Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant back for another Card 5 Vanguard deck profile. Now, this was originally going to be a Shadow Pally deck profile, but honestly, I kind of gave up on building them, so I worked some things out with a friend who was nice enough to do a really big trade with me. He also gave me this box. Look! He gave me a box. It's stupid as hell, but still, it's a nice box. I have another box. Yay! And as well as these sleeves, you know. These fabulous green sleeves, and pretty much most of this deck I tweaked it a little bit, and this is kind of his deck, but I own it now and he owns my Shadow Pally thing, so maybe I can do some convincing with him and he can actually do stuff on his channel. If I ever convince him, I think he's the Nolex something. I don't necessarily know right now, but maybe I can convince him to do something. Who knows? So anyway, so this was originally his deck. We kind of switched out, so let's just get into that. And we are using Narukami. Now, Narukami was my first original clan that I ever used, so that's probably why I did this deal and say, you know, sticking with the Shadow Pallies, because I really have a soft spot towards Narukami, and this is a really good deck, I think. It really is. Granted, I tweaked it a little, so there's that, but let's get in with the starter. So we have Ambush Dragon Eradicator Linchu, which arguably is one of the best starters unless you're running like a specific build. So if you're using Vowing, you want to use the Vowing starter. If you're using Descendant specifically, you want to use the Descendant starter. Gauntlet doesn't get one. If you want to use Sweep Command, if you're crazy enough for that, there's a Sweep Command starter. But this is just an overall starter for like people who are just like, I just want a nice Eradicator starter. He has the Forerunner skill as well as on Rear Guard. Counter +1, put this unit into the soul. When an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle that the unit boosted, a unit with Eradicator in its name, you may pay the cost, and if you do, choose up to one of your opponent's grade 1 or less Rear Guards, and retire it. This guy can actually get off some very serious combos, but I'll explain that in a little bit. So, there's our awesome starter right there. He's only a single rare, so not that hard to get. Trigger lineup, and I'm gonna zoom out to make sure I can get all this. 3 Eradicator Dragon Mage, 3 draw trig. 3 Malevolent Djinn, crit trig, who has the skill of act on rearguard, put this unit into the soul, choose up to one of your Narukami, and it gets +3 till the end of the turn. Still an awesome crit trig, still used today. 4, yep, it's 4, Eradicator Yellow Gem Carbuncle, crit trig. 2, Zephyr Eradicator High 8, I think that's how you say it, to the stand trig. And of course your standard Worm Toxin Eradicator Shilibo. So except for this guy, all these are Eradicator, because you really want mostly Eradicator on a deck. Unless you want to run more crit, then you go with a different crit trigger, but yeah. So I run it a little different. The 4 heals are kind of understandable, so there's that. Now, most people run Eradicator where it's 8 crit, 4 of one of either the draw or the stand, or they run 6 crit with 3 of the draw and the stand. I preferred to change it up a little bit so that I have some draw power, a little bit of stand power, and mostly crit power, or I get a nice heal here and there. So I wanted to just edit it a little to make it so that I can get all of the triggers in there, so that I can kind of balance out and, you know, just be overall pretty good. It's pretty good overall. So there's that. I should probably move that in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Now for grade 1s, I run 2 Eradicator of Fire Koyaji, and his skill is auto on rear guard. When this unit boosts a Narukami Vanguard, if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 3 or more, the booster gets +4 to the end of the battle. So 10k swinger if you have 3 or more damage. Which, right, with Limit Break it's fine, but considering Legion exists, he's gonna have a hard time now, because Legion decided to exist. But I already ranted about that, so let's not do that. 1 Lightning Fist Eradicator Dewey, because Gauntlet is in this deck, and I have some nice beat-sticking power then. So he's there for that option. Same thing with this guy. Sword Dance Eradicator Haitian, because Descendant is in this deck, and I felt like beat-sticking. I run 3 Wyvern Guard Gould, so 3 P-Guards. I think this is the only... Yeah, it's the only grade 1 non-Eradicator, because honestly I don't feel like getting the Eradicator P-Guard. This P-Guard's just as fine. P-Guard, very standard, so you all know what P-Guards do at this point. 3 Eradicator Demolition Dragon, because he has that auto on rear guard when this unit attacks. If you have an Eradicator for Vanguard, you get +3 to the end of battle. So only time that won't work is if you ride the P-Guard. So if you rode the P-Guard, you're looking pretty sad already. And finally for grade 1s, 3 Steel Blood Eradicator Soki. And his awesome skill is Rearguard Auto. Rearguard. When your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to the effect of one of your cards, if you have a Vanguard with Eradicator in its name, this unit gets +3 till the end of the turn. So, say I use Linshu's skill, +3. Because it doesn't really explain as to when I need to use that skill. It just says if it happens. So that's pretty awesome. So I can get a quick power up and just be like, haha, now I have enough to get over that shield. So there's that. Just gonna kinda move all this jazz. Now, in previous videos I've stated how many deck profiles I have left to do, and honestly, I'm not going to make any more promises. I don't know if I'm going to do any more deck profiles. If any other time you'll really see me doing deck profiles, it's probably going to be on the second channel, and it's going to be of decks I've already finished, because I'm getting to that stage where I really don't feel like trying to build other stuff, so if I ever finish something, I'll be like, hey, I can do this. So there's that, because other things are coming up, and it's like, yeah, there are other things that are more important right now. So, continuing on. Grade 2s. I run 2 Dragon Dancer Veronica. That special extra 5k intercept. Not an Eradicator. And as I look through this deck to make sure, yep, only non-Eradicator for grade 2s. I use her because, 1, any other Eradicator grade 2 that I currently have isn't that good. 2, Death Scythe is unavailable because, honestly, his Counterblast eats up everything. And 3, I like her artwork. That looks pretty awesome for a human. So, 2 of her. I run 2 Homing Eradicator Rochishin, which has the awesome skill of when an opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to a card effect, get +5 if you have an Eradicator Vanguard. So, Suki, except I get +5. It's an 8k though, so totals out to 13. Still pretty decent unit. But I do run 3 Double Gun Eradicator Hakusi, which has Suki's skill, except it's a 9k. So it becomes an instant 12k. So that's pretty awesome. Run 2 Eradicator Spark Rain Dragon. If I had more, I possibly would run him, but I have Veronica here, so that's fine. It has that skill of, hey, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have an Eradicator Vanguard and this unit attacks, this unit gets +3, so it becomes that 12k swinger we all know and love. I don't feel like getting a third one, so I'm fine with 2. Because 2 is pretty decent. And finally finishing up the grade 2 lineup, I run 3 Eradicator Thunderboom Dragon. One of my favorite 10Ks. Because that name is awesome. Pretty standard, it's a 10k beat stick. Kinda want 10k beat sticks. So there's the grade 2 lineup. And half of my lineup consists of power base, and the other half consists of retirement base to get power base. So Narukami is really focused on either killing stuff to get power or just having power in general. Finally, the grade 3 lineup. I run 3 Eradicator Vowing Sword Dragon. The break ride that says, hey, if you break ride, choose one of your units in the front, one of your opponent's units in the front row, retire it, and choose your Vanguard, give it plus 10. Also, when it attacks, when it's on Vanguard and it's attacking, if your opponent has 3 or more in the damage zone, get plus 2. So 13k swinger if my opponent has 3 more damage. So there's that. Would run 4, but I personally prefer 3. And I really don't want to take anything else out of this deck, change this deck up that much. I run 3 Eradicator Vowing Saber Dragon Reverse, which has the act skill of Limit Break, Counterblast 2, choose 2 of your Eradicator rearguards and lock them. Your opponent chooses 2 of his or her rearguards and retires them, and this unit gets plus 10,000 power to the end of the battle. Or Rake Ride that, do this skill, 31k swinger, now at 33 because you broke road into Vowing Sword. Broke road from Vowing Sword. So 33 for that turn, you do it twice, that's 43. Plus, God knows what other rearguard you might have. I run 3 because I have 3. I could run 4 and make it a full Vowing deck, but I'm like, nah, I like some of the other cards in here too. So, only 3. I run 1 Eradicator Gauntlet Buster Dragon. Oh, Gauntlet, you're awesome. He has the limit break of when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to an effect of one of your cards, this unit gets plus 3 in a crit. So, Break Ride, get plus 3 in a crit. And then his other act ability is Counterblast 2 cards with Eradicator in its name. Your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards and retires them. Break Ride, plus 3 in a crit. Counterblast, plus 6 in a crit. Counterblast again, plus 9 in a crit. Guess what? I have 4 crit now. You better P-guard this or you're dead. So, I've always wanted to use a Gauntlet, so I have Gauntlet now, so that's nice. And finally, I run 1 Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. Its limit break is Counterblast 1, choose 3 cards with Eradicator in its name from your hand and discard them at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. If the attack did not hit during that battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit, and this unit gets plus 1 critical till the end of the turn. This ability may not be used for the rest of the turn. Also has the act ability of Counterblast 2 cards with a Eradicator in its name, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power till the end of the turn. Again, I use this because I always wanted to use a Descendant, so now I do. If I wanted to, I could tweak this deck over there a little bit and turn it more into a Vowing Reverse deck, but honestly, I like having these guys because that way I don't have to just bank on Vowing Reverse. Even though Vowing Reverse is really good, he does often become very costly. And sometimes, maybe I want to just punch my opponent with Gauntlet or do some shenanigans with Dragonic Descendant. So, yeah. Not going to show a battle tactic for this one because, honestly, let me just show you what happens. Have units on the field, Break Ride one of these 3 guys, or this guy, onto this guy, blow stuff up, do things. That's pretty much what you do. It's not the hardest deck concept to really follow. So, yeah. And I like how this deck looks. I really do. It's a really nice deck. I'm really glad I have it because now I can say, hey, I have one of my clans I used to use. So, there's that. Is it the best deck? Well, it's decent. I will give it that. It has enough thought put into it where I didn't cut any corners that I necessarily had to cut. It's really more, the only corner that I cut because I felt like cutting it was probably the Spark Rain, and that's probably the only corner I cut. Just because I'm like, nah, I don't feel like buying another trial deck. I really don't. So, that's all I got to say about this one. Again, I'm not making any more promises for deck profiles on this channel, just because those are getting harder to build each time. There are some decks that I kind of want to finish and do profiles on here, but I'm not going to promise that. If anything, if you want to see me doing deck profiles, you're probably going to want to go to the second channel, because that's where it's going to be. And that's all I got for now. So, this has been Solomon Pleasant doing another Card 5 Vanguard deck profile, and again, this is Solomon Pleasant, signing off. I'm still a relevant card? How dare you insult me, Warleckin? How dare you? I'm still relevant, right? Right? Right?